Gentlemen, welcome here to Richmond for tonight's IndyCar1909.com 150. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight, as always, Chris Wright and Brent Jones. Guys, how you doing here tonight?
Doing pretty good. Got Brent over here for a championship race. Going to be an exciting race tonight here at Richmond.
Absolutely, boys. It should be an exciting race. Let's take a look at the starting grid here. Brent Jones, why don't you walk us through the first 10 here?
Championship contender Garrison Hogan gets the pole tonight. Well, Tate Lytle starting second. From the second of our four is title contender starts third, with Trey Armstrong outside in fourth. Ethan Stanley, yet another title contender, is in fifth place. If you notice the pattern by now, there is a pattern, but it won't exist much longer. Sixth is R.C. Anderson. Seventh will be Justin Fuller. Eighth, Gerald Campbell. Ninth, Vince Isabella. 10th, our last title contender, who has got an EOL, by the way, is Tyler Fode.
Chris Wright, take us through the end of the field, bud.
All right, rolling off 11th, we've got Braxton DeWeese. Dustin Dewar sharing a row with him. Nick Massey all the way back there in 13th, right alongside 2000 NASCAR Busch Series champion Jeff Green. Jonathan Cutlip, last night's truck champion, going to roll off 15th. Johnny Thomas, Hunter Smith, 16th and 17th. Joe Francis, David Tooker all the way back in 19th, with Seth Rawls rounding out the top 20. Then we have Chad Frankenfield. Josh Adams did not make a lap. Chad also getting an EOL to share the back row there with Tyler Fode.
That is the top 21 or so. Adams, Connor, Hatch, and Collins rounding out the field. Tonight's race is, of course, the championship finale. And as we do get one to green here, boys, why don't we go and start with Chris Wright. Chris, who's your pick to take the title this evening?
Well, when I think of Richmond, I think of short tracks, and short tracks are Scott Crump's domain. Scott's gotten suspended a race and had to sit out a race in the playoffs, came back, won the race that he needed to win to make it in here tonight. I think Scott's going to be the guy to beat tonight. I think Scott's going to be my pick to win the championship, and my race pick is going to be Nick Massey.
Definitely solid pick there. Brent Jones, bud.
I love me a good gate crasher and maximum chaos. I'm going to go Garrison Hogan. I think I believe in him.
Garrison Hogan, a really solid pick. I'm going to go with the guy that's known as a road course ace. I'm going to go Ethan Stanley as my pick here tonight. I think Tyler Fode has a bit too much work to do to get from the rear of the field, but definitely do not count him out. As the pace cars off, Trey Holmes sleeping there in row number 2. But we are underway here in the IndyCar 1909.com 150, the season finale.
Great start for Garrison, gets out in the way, leaving the battle for second.
Now, one thing we're going to have to watch here, boys, is I think you guys know this as well as I do. We got Fode and we got Chad coming from the rear of the field here tonight. They're going to be slicing and dicing their way through as much as they absolutely can. So watch for maybe a little bit of chaos around them. R.C. Anderson currently sliding backwards. He gets a little piece of the outside wall as the drivers try to find their spot in the field and where they belong. I do want to give a quick shout out here. Currently running 14th on the racetrack in the Wawa 28 machine. I know this might be a touchy spot for you, Chris Wright, but John Cutlip picking up his first career elite championship last night in the truck series. Great battle with Chris Wright all race long, and it actually came down to a tie with John edging out just on position. So great season for both of those drivers for sure.
Yeah, congrats once again to Cutlip. It was a great race last night. Great event. Oh, Gerald Campbell's around.
And looks like Dewar may have got the wall a little bit trying to
Oh, who was that?
That was Rory Collins.
Oh.
Just ended up in that one. We are under caution. Let's take a look and see what just happened. Dustin Dewar, Gerald Campbell, Rory Collins at the very least involved in that one.
Wow. It looks like Braxton DeWeese is going to get into the back of him. They're going to spit no real damage right here.
Yeah, I heard Braxton apologize for something beforehand there. The driver's chat, that is.
They're going to get together, and he's going to spin, and he's going to do a great job. Dusty's going to get between him and the wall. And no real damage to anybody.
Oh!
I am not sure what the 62 was doing there.
I'm just going to plead the fifth on this one.
That's just, that can't happen. You got to do a better job slowing down and avoiding that stuff, because he almost ran over Jay Knorr. Like, you see those cars spinning up ahead.
Wow.
That's man. I think the Orca series is about to start up again in January. I heard here in the pre-race chat. Maybe Rory needs to go run some of those Orca races and figure some things out.
I will comment on that, but I've been guilty of that. I've been there, done that. I can't comment. I can confirm with you, Rory is likely out of this race already based on.
So just an update there, folks. Tally issued to Braxton DeWeese for the initial contact, and it's actually going to be a double penalty there for Rory Collins, both a tally and an EOL if he gets back on the racetrack. That was an extremely late ARCA break that could have been much, much worse than it is and likely caused a lot more damage than was needed.
Yeah, it's unacceptable on the racetrack, really. You're the last car in line. That's... Yeah, I don't know.
Definitely unacceptable there to do that, but definitely something that these drivers have to learn if they want to avoid further issues on the racetrack. As I was just mentioning, guys, definitely something these drivers have to be aware of and not do that again. I believe Rory has retired for the evening. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But
Yes, the affirmative. He is out of the session. They're getting the one to go here.
So that's caution number 1 on the day here. We're going to restart 9 laps into it. Garrison Hogan, Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley, the top 3. The 4th title contender, Tyler Fode, currently finds himself back in position number 18. Gerald Campbell going to rejoin the field after getting a bit of damage repaired, as we are about to take the green flag once again. Green flag in the air, and we are back underway. Nice jump by Garrison Hogan. It looks like Scott Crump got a good jump as well. Looks like Vincent Isabella back under pressure of Justin Fuller. Nearly makes contact with R.C. Enerson. Nick Massey, Trey Holmes side by side for position number 8 and 9. There's David Tooker and Jeff Green just behind them as Hunter Smith going around.
That's going to stay green. He's in the infield grass.
Did Josh stay off of him? If so, that was pretty incredible.
Take a look there at that one. No, the 56 does turn the 54.
Good save by Hunter Smith.
Definitely
Josh was trying to hang on his left rear there. Josh might probably not. I should have been trying to go for that little tiny bit of a hole there.
just an unfortunate incident right there for Hunter Smith. Oh, as Scott Crump decided the loud pedal was going to be... He's... What did you just say, Brent Jones?
Laying the wood. I'm channeling my Gus Johnson here.
All right. Yeah, Scott Crump gets out to the race lead. Gets by Garrison. Hogan opens the door there for Ethan Stanley as well. Hogan still charging back, trying to get to the rear end of the Scott Crump machine once
Donnie
again.
Thomas back here with contact with Seth Rawls, I believe.
Chad Frankenfield gets into those drivers as well. Nearly contact there. He does get ahead of Tyler Fode. Seth Rawls likes to make his own lanes out here on the racetracks. His lane decided... Oh, heavy damage for Jay Connor right there. Nose of that car absolutely gone.
Yeah, it's broke.
Wow.
I was gonna say, I don't think you want to be running that type of lane.
I have never... Have you guys ever seen the front end of a race car explode off of contact like that? I don't think I have.
It does happen with netcode, but that...
That's wild. Taking a look here, Tate Lytle Looks like he's getting a little bit bent out of shape there. Now Fuller going to dive to his inside. Justin Fuller was one of the championship contenders in last night's Truck Series race. Ran into issues early on, and in the middle portions, Tate Lytle going to come down and close off his gap there. Tate stuffs the hole that Justin Fuller wanted to fill. It's your championship drivers first, second, third, and 14th now, as Fody and Frankenfield working their way up from the rear of the field, now just outside the top 10. And of course, if you can't tell by now, on your scoring tower this evening, the drivers indicated in green are your championship contending drivers.
And everybody's around the bottom now. Everybody's made their way to the bottom. Nobody's really venturing up the racetrack too far. It's a full conveyor belt of cars right now.
Green's the only one in the top 12 that's just running a little bit higher than everybody else, and it's even slightly at best.
Yeah, Jeff Green running maybe a half a lane higher than the rest of the field through the corners. He's currently running behind Trey Holmes. Holmes currently scored in that 10th position. Trey had a solid qualifying run tonight, qualified in that 4th spot, now running back in position number 10. And this very well could be strategy for Trey Holmes. He's known to try to do whatever he can to save his tires, and it wouldn't really shock me if this is part of that strategy right now, falling back, losing position early, and trying to gain it back late. As Gerald Campbell able to gain that spot on Seth Rawls. Rawls going to try to battle back, as Cutlip now has company. It's Chad Frankenfield.
They got Tate stuck up on the top here.
As you just mentioned, there we go. Tate Lytle up on the high side. Justin Fuller going down to his inside. He's going to pull Vincent Isabella with him. This is one thing about a racetrack like this, guys. You get caught on the outside, you could get freight trained, depending on how you manage these corners. If you get it done properly, you could get a run off the corner, be able to squeeze your way back in, as it looks like Tate may be able to do this here, depending on Vincent's entry into one. Vincent clears, Tate gets behind him. Tate Lytle back to 7th, just ahead of Nick Massey, and just behind Vincent Isabella. David Tooker just behind them, as Frankenfield gets by John Cutlip. Cutlip now, the car stuck up on the outside lane. As you see, Cutlip into the outside wall. A little bit of contact there for the 28 Wawa machine, another one of the Pro Edge Racing Toyotas, as Fody and Adams now going by on the inside. Cutlip going in the wrong direction at this point, but good thing for him is he's able to get down just behind Josh Adams, just ahead of Johnny Thomas, and behind them there's a pretty decent gap back to probably the most popular driver on our streams in Braxton DeWeese, currently scored in position number 17 in the Janes on Main 27 machine. Now, guys, obviously, it's been a long season. Lots has happened throughout the year, and we kind of look back at a couple stats from historical Richmond races here. Average about 5 cautions. We've already had one here tonight. And one thing that I thought was pretty notable was, out of the races that we've run here, only once has the driver that's led the most laps actually gone on to take the victory, and that was Tyler Riggs back in 2019B, where he led 48 laps. So very, very interesting. Do you want to be the driver to lead the most laps knowing that stat? I don't know.
I always want to be leading. If you can be leading, you want to be leading. You'll deal with the circumstances later, late caution, different things like that, but if you can be out front, you want to be out front.
Now, if this race keeps the vibe going that, you know, we may end up going on a long run, may have green flag pit stops, what are you thinking in regards to a strategy here, Chris? Obviously still very early, but when would you try to come down pit road? Would you try to maybe one stop it if you can? If not, are you going to try to do a late first stop, and that way your second stop is a lot less fuel and you're able to get back out there quicker? What would you do?
Well, I mean, it would really depend on how the car's driving. How am I doing saving tire? How am I doing over the course of the whole run? How's everybody doing? You know, if you're Scott Krupp, you're able to lead the whole thing, you're not going to short pit. But if you're Scott Crump and you fall back to 6th and you really start struggling, well, then you're probably going to, think about coming a little sooner, and it just really depends on where you're at on the racetrack.
All right, let's put a scenario on the stage here. You're Tyler Fode. What do you do?
I think
You're Tyler Fode, stuck in 13th. You've used up your tires trying to work your way forward. Yes, you've gained 12 spots, but you're still stuck in 13th.
So we're stuck. We're not moving forward anymore.
We're not moving forward anymore. As Josh Adams may be changing that strategy completely.
Nope, he's gonna
caution.
I thought he was gonna get her up for a second.
Upon review of the lap 29 incident, tally going to be issued to the 29 of Josh Adams for a solo spin.
I think that's the 56.
56 of Josh Adams. There we go. What number did I say?
29.
Oh, gosh,
this is 29. We don't have a 29. That's unfortunate for Josh, but he's able to gather it back up and continue on. Never mind, just forget our scenario because this could change everything.
This is going to be the first major round of stops in this race here. Let's see what pit crews ate their Wheaties this morning.
We're going to keep an eye on those playoff drivers as they work their way down pit lane here. You see Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley, Garrison Hogan. You got to remember as well, Tyler Fode did qualify in the 10th position, so his pit stall is not too far back from these guys, so we'll keep an eye on him as well. As we watch the exit of pit lane here to see who's the first car off. Scott Crump going to win the race off pit road. Garrison Hogan, then Ethan Stanley. Is Tyler Fode going to gain any spots? Looks like he gains 2. He does gain 2 spots, currently scored in position number 11. So now just outside the top 10 for Tyler Fode. It's Scott Crump, Garrison Hogan, Ethan Stanley, the top 3. R.C. Enerson, Vincent Isabella, the top 5. Tate Lytle, Justin Fuller, Nick Massey, Jeff Green, and Chad Frankenfield, the top 10 here on lap number 32. As these drivers complete their pit stop, we're going to take our first pit stop, and we'll be right back in about 2 minutes' time. Don't go anywhere.
Isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at IndyCar1909.com 150, the season finale for the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. We got to thank our sponsor here tonight, IndyCar1909.com, IndyCar past, present, and future. We're glad to have them on board with us once again. As well, Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. And of course, our partner, Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today, and we are back under green. It's Scott Crump on the loud pedal down on the inside. That's Garrison Hogan up top. Ethan Stanley with a great jump on the inside there. You got to wonder if maybe it was called out in the team chat to help Stanley clear Hogan. A little bit of teamwork early on until they get down to the late stages of today's race, where it'll be a free-for-all amongst those Lake Norman drivers. Of course, 3 of them going for the championship here this evening as we watch a battle a little bit further back. Tate Lytle and Justin Fuller side by side. Just behind them, Chad Frankenfield and Tyler Fody now side by side. That's for position number 10. Both drivers started at the rear of the field as Jeff Green gets a little bit sideways, maybe slipped in some fluid or maybe some Nesquik out on the racetrack.
And it looks like the outside, is the place to be right here taking off.
Yeah, you can see it here with Vincent Isabella up on the high side. That's Nick Massey that's trying to work his way up. Tyler Fody up top as well. Drivers trying different lanes here early on. Chris, see what works for them. Tate Lytle, Chad Frankenfield up on the outside. Is Massey going to slide up? Tate Lytle just asked Nick Massey why he wasn't leading, and then, they nearly came together. So that could have been close. We have a battle for the lead. Ethan Stanley on the inside. Scott Crump up on the high side here. They're going to be side by side.
Side by side for the lead.
Yeah, side by side down here in 3 and 4. Now off of turn number 4 is Crump up top. Stanley on the bottom. Stanley leads that lap. Not that bonus points actually matter here tonight. It's the top finisher of these championship drivers does pick up the title here as they continue side by side. Got to be careful, these drivers, to see or to try to not come together, because they do have Garrison Hogan right behind them, and Tyler Fody's just been slowly working his way forward. Currently just outside the top 10 in position number 11 as they continue side by side here. Crump not going to give it up, because if he does, he may lose some spots as RC Anderson pops off the wall. Justin Fuller takes a peek on the inside of him, but still side by side here. Looks like Crump going to get a bit of an advantage down the front straightaway. Stanley on his inside. Stanley should have the upper hand here as Crump's going to have to back out to get back in line. We may single file out. Nope, we're going to stay double file.
This tells me that there might not have been any team orders.
I was going to say, there's no way Crump's going to give up easy.
Yeah, there's no team orders whatsoever. Nick Massey cruising up into the outside lane, by the way, as Stanley still on the inside of Crump. Do you think this might be cooking the tires a little bit here, this side-by-side battle?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So this is something that these drivers are going to have to be aware of if it does come down to a long run. Crump now clears behind Stanley. Stanley going to get back in front of him, and we are going to single file out at the front, but Fuller going to take a peek to the inside of RC Enerson. You know Justin Fuller is going to want to work his way up and steal the victory here tonight. He doesn't care who's going for a title. He's just here to grab the trophies, and that's what he plans on doing.
Yeah, and he was really frustrated last night, so he's driving a little bit ticked off.
Tough run for him last night. Got caught up in a couple wrecks, and just unfortunate. He was disappointed that we didn't have a late race caution, which usually he's the one going on a rant that we do have them. So a little bit of a funny moment there as Enerson picks the outside wall. This is going to send the 50 machine in the wrong direction, I do believe. Just taking a peek through the field, looking for... Well, Seth is having a moment towards the tail of the field. Looks like him and Casey Hatch had a bit of contact, possibly Dustin Durr involved in that one, as well as the side-by-side with Fuller and Enerson has now ended. Now it's Enerson and Isabella. Isabella gets back in line just behind RC. So it's Stanley, Crump, and Ethan Stanley does a little tail slap with the outside wall, possibly some right rear damage. If there is, it's very, very light on that Ethan Stanley machine, but looks like the cars might be getting a little unsettled for the leader. Now, Brent Jones, you've run many races here. What's your experience at this racetrack and maybe some of the challenges these drivers might be facing throughout the event?
If you're running towards the front of the field, it's just, just buy your time, just save your stuff. If you're in the back, man, it's so hard to get trap position to work with the field, man. Sometimes strategy will help you out, get through there a little bit better, but it's just like, it's so frustrating because you want to go, but you really can't at this point of the run, really, unless you were willing to risk to burn up your tires.
Definitely a good point there, Brent. It's all about the tire saving in these types of races. You don't want to kill your tires too early, as we're coming up on 1/3 of the way through the event here. Lap 50 out of 150 here tonight in the IndyCar 1909.com 150. Now Scott Crump out front. Ethan Stanley falls back to second. They continue to be side by side, though, down the back straightaway. Garrison Hogan likes what he sees, but actually he slides up to the outside lane. That allows Justin Fuller to get on by. Casey Hatch takes it to pit road in the number 14 machine. Not sure what happened to him, but he's opted to come down and possibly end his evening. Tate Lytle, Jeff Green nearly come together on the back straightaway there. A little bit of contact. Gotta give a shout out here to Gerald Campbell. He's now worked his way just outside the top 15 after his early spin and near demolishment as he got Arca braked from about 2 cities over. Chris Wright, so far these drivers have done a fairly nice job of keeping their cars clean. Obviously, the early incident is the only multi-car stack-up that we've really had. What's your mindset at this point in the race? Are you already thinking about the end of it, or are you still trying to save those tires, get settled in, and just figure out what you need to do to have the best strategy and the best way to work your way forward?
Well, right now, I'm looking at the tires that came off the car. I'm looking at the left specifically, seeing if 2 tires are an option. Am I going to be able to throw 2 tires on? It's really hard to pass out here. Drivers have been complaining about it. I've had a couple reach out to me during the race here and say, passing is nearly impossible. So I'm looking to see if 2 tires is an option late. I am thinking about how I'm wearing out the tires, what it's doing on the long run. We saw the outside line take off pretty good last time, and then everybody kind of got single file out, and everybody's kind of still running where they were 5 laps after the restart. So it's pretty difficult to pass out here, so I'm thinking about some different strategies to get to the front. Or if you're Tyler Fody, maybe you're sitting there, and saving. And you're thinking, maybe this will go to the end, I'll save a lot of tire. It's all depending on what happens with the cautions, what I'm thinking of. I'm a driver, if I'm Fody, am I thinking, am I panicking that I can't pass? Am I thinking that it's going to run long? It's a million different things are going through your head right now. And all of it's about how do I get up to the front.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point. It's all about how you can work your way forward and how you can race smart while doing it. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of drama throughout the evening here tonight. As we're watching the lap time, Stanley and Crump had swapped who was quickest on each lap there, and now Ethan Stanley under pressure from Justin Fuller. That's going to throw that all out the window, as Stanley now going to be stuck up on the high side. If Garrison Hogan can get there, never mind, he can't at that point. But I do want to just jump.
What this tells me? You know what this tells me? First time all night, we're starting to see some tire wear effects. I think Stanley's starting to back up.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to start to see some comers and goers. And I am looking at the lefts. And that came off of a car that's on pit road here, or was on pit road, obviously, and still running in the race. I think if the run is at the right length and it's not too long, 2 tires, 2 right side tires are definitely an option to throw at the car late.
As we took a look at the left front there of the Ethan Stanley machine, not too much heat in the brakes whatsoever. You're not really using a ton of it here, just kind of setting the nose, getting set for the corners, but tires definitely going in the wrong direction at this point for a lot of these drivers. You can see the ones that are coming, the ones that are going, like you mentioned, and Tyler Fode, one that's not really doing either of that right now, as Vincent Isabella smacks the outside wall, gives it a good old kiss. But Tyler Fode just staying stagnant there in that 12th position. Chad Frankenfield not really gaining anything either. He's currently scored back in 9th. And those drivers basically started there on the restart, maybe gained or lost a position each. But you had mentioned, Chris, under our commercial break, that drivers have told you how hard it is to pass here tonight, and we're really starting to see that.
Yeah, we're starting to see that. Vincent Isabella is one that's starting to back up pretty hard. You know, so we got some guys starting to back up. We got some guys starting to move forward. Tate Lytle maybe a little bumper to Vincent Isabella, and that's going to be 3 wide. That opens the door for Chad to go Chad wide. And Chad says, I will take that. Oh,
that's going to be tight down into the corner. Not a lot of
contact
space.
Behind the Tooker slides up into Fode.
Goodness, what a battle.
Oh, contact there.
Oh, Vincent Isabella into Jeff Green. Wow. That was a little hairy there, boys, as things decided to kick off. Braxton DeWeese nearly into the side of Tyler Fode. DeWeese, another one of those drivers that not really worried about who's in a title fight on the racetrack. He's going to be aggressive, and he's going to work his way forward no matter what it takes to get up there. And that's just kind of what we've seen from the 27 all season long. He's a very, very skilled driver, and I do expect him to get a lot of victories in the future here in Elite. But once he figures out his aggression levels at the times of the race, if he can channel it kind of like Scott Crump is able to do during an event, I would expect Braxton DeWeese to be a championship contender in the future. But it'll all depend on how he channels that aggression.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you it's hard. You know, when you get out here and you run a race, you know, a lot of these guys join leagues and run officials, right? The official races are really short. You know, a lot of times there's one caution or one pit stop at like the halfway point, and the halfway point's like 15 laps. You get out here in a league race where you're running, you know, tonight's 150 laps. It's hard to put a whole race together. It's hard to learn how to do that and to learn how to manage that and whatnot. So it's a big learning curve. Braxton's a guy that can get there. A lot of these guys can get there. And Braxton's a guy we've seen with the speed at times this year. You know, really good top 5, top 3 speed at a few different tracks, but he just hasn't been able to figure out how to put the race together and to stay up there through the entirety of the event.
And I think another thing too, Brent Jones and I have participated in this league, and a lot of other drivers that do race in this series in particular also take part in a Thursday night racing league that runs shorter races. They usually do 2 races per night, so it's kind of like a sprint style that allows the drivers to almost go balls to the wall from the drop of the green flag. And it produces some fantastic racing for sure, but it's tough to switch the mentality from running those sprint races to running these kind of almost marathon style races where you're going 150 laps rather than 270 lap races.
And let me just put this out there. We run a few full distance races a year. I wish all our races were full distance. I know that I'm
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope.
I love the longer races. I think they're the best.
You've been brainwashed by Justin Vandermarl.
They're the best races we have. They're the most fun. And usually, you know, a guy like me can find my way to the top 5 or 7 in those longer races because I just enjoy them. Like, some people will see them coming and they automatically dread them. They're just like, oh, this is going to be terrible because it's full distance.
Yeah, that's why I've always
best racing we have.
Exactly. That's why I've always preferred, like, open set races. But the problem is you don't have the money to do that.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, now, I'm against open set because I don't have the time to put in on the sim for 100 hours of practice for every race. But if anybody wanted to play with the idea, Chad, if you get the chance to watch this later, let's take our cup series to 100% full distance every race.
How about no? How about we don't do that? That's not a good idea whatsoever.
It's a great idea.
That is a terrible idea. As Vincent Isabella, Josh Adams side by side here, I would be glad if we never did full distance races aside from the Daytona 500, and that's it. Well, I guess the 400 miler at Daytona as well. That That one can stay full distance too, but I'm a little biased on that one. Because I won that one. Somehow. Everyone else wrecked, but it doesn't matter. Tate Lytle gets ahead of Ethan Stanley. So Stanley's starting to fall backwards now. Just behind him is one of his teammates, Nick Massey, currently scored in position number 7. Massey, one of the favorites of tonight's race coming into this one. And he's done a nice job, gained 6 spots on the day, and we'll see what he can do late. He's a late comer here at Richmond, so we'll see what happens with that 48. Yeah, I mean, it means you're there till the end, so that's definitely a positive, Chris Wright.
Definitely, yeah.
As we look through the field, it's John Cutlip on the inside of Vincent Isabella. Isabella up on the high side. Cutlip down low. They're chasing down the Josh Adams machine as Gerald Campbell joins that battle as well, trying to work his way back into the top 15. His crew did a fantastic job of fixing the damage on that thing. The rear end still a little bit damaged, but not too much else on that 31 aggressive soup machine. So good to see the damage repaired on the 31, as we do see Ethan Stanley sliding up, nearly allowing Nick Massey to get to his inside, and he doesn't that time. Crump leads Fuller, Hogan, Enerson, and Lytle. That's the top 5, and then it's Ethan Stanley, Nick Massey, Chad Frankenfield, Jeff Green, wrong brother, and David Tooker. Just behind them there as Tyler Fody gets to the rear end of the Tooker machine. That's your battle for position number 10. And Gerald Campbell going to take it pit side in the 31.
Now this might be a strategy play to try to get tires first. They can't
Gerald's
make it to the end.
ballsy with strategy, boys. You guys know that.
They can't make it to the end, but they can get to about 4 or 5 laps to go. So it'll be real close. So he's going to go ahead and take advantage of his tires, probably expecting everybody else maybe to not even try to, thinking that there's going to be a caution. But I can remember a time back when Gerald was one of the guys at a short track that you had to beat. You know, he was super fast. He was the guy that had the chance to win every short track race.
Johnny won a cup race.
And a family and everything, and you don't have the time to put in, so.
Gerald's a multi-time champion in Elite, so definitely knows what he's doing. But Johnny Thomas won a cup race about a month or 2 ago, just based off of pit strategy. So if you never know, try it out, see if it works. I mean, it's going to cost him about 2 laps on the racetrack. So
I want to talk about
not necessarily going to work. Yeah, go for it. Floor is yours, Chris.
Take a look at Justin Fuller here. I have seen him running a totally different line than everybody else. Watch down here in 1 and 2. Now watch. Now that I said it, he won't do it.
Oh, nope, he's doing it.
There it is.
Wow,
Yeah.
Whoa.
Only car doing it. That's the only car running that high on the racetrack.
He's preparing himself to get a straight shot off the corners rather than having to arc it back out. And, you know, this could pay off for him to save a little bit of tire, as the field has caught some lap traffic, by the way. That's Joe Francis up ahead. He's got some barbecue chips. Fuller just sends it into the corner.
Yeah, he's not using as much right front.
I want to see lap time here compared to Ethan Stanley, or compared to RC Enerson. A little bit quicker than Enerson. Let's compare to Garrison Hogan. Yeah, Fuller a fair bit slower than Hogan. They're actually quicker last lap. Of course it's going to do that right as I say slower, but I don't know. It could help him with saving his tires a little bit, potentially, because it actually looks like he's closing that gap on Garrison here, as they currently run 2nd and 3rd respectively behind Scott Crump. Tyler Fody's worked his way into the top 10, by the way. Just got by Jeff Green. Green now back to that 11th spot. Biggest mover on the day is Chad Frankenfield, up 15 spots from his slated starting spot of 21st, but actually it's even further because he started dead last on the day. Second biggest mover of the night, David Tooker, up 10 positions on the day. Now make that 11. Actually, no, we're going to go back to 10 as Nick Massey decides that he's not going to take the position from him here. That is Tyler Fody looking to the high side of David Tooker. Nick Massey with a bit of an issue. He falls back just a little bit, gathers it back up.
No, that's not an issue there on Nick Massey.
Oh, he's
And
trying the
word
Justin
has
Fuller
gotten
line
around.
here. So,
Word
Chris,
has gotten
what
around.
happened
Well, I
here,
guess the
folks,
message
is
has been sent.
what happened here, folks, is Chris Wright queued up in game on Nick Massey's team chat and told him what Fuller was doing, and now he's doing it too.
I cannot confirm or deny those allegations.
I can absolutely confirm those allegations. Chris, you just put that guy into the wall with that strategy. Nick Massey just hit the outside wall. Now he's giving up on it. He's going back in line.
Well, it's only down to 1 and 2. You know, Nick was asking about, Nick might have been asking somebody about 3 and 4, and he might have been told, hey, it's still right around the bottom in 3 and 4.
So just an update here. We are past halfway on the day. Vincent Isabella is now on pit road as well. Josh Adams has visited pit road. Here comes RC Enerson pitting from the top 5. Enerson, the first top 5 driver to find his way to pit road here. This may end up queuing up some additional pit stops to come. Tyler Fode gets by Ethan Stanley. Actually, they're going to be side by side for position number 7. So out front it's Crump and Hogan. Then the battle for 7th is Stanley and Fode. As Fode on the inside, Stanley up on the high side.
I'm going to tell you what, Nick just got passed by Chad Frankenfield a couple laps ago. He moved up there, and he's running Chad back down.
Definitely running Chad down here on the racetrack. Enerson with a 14.4 second pit stop. He leads and heads his way back onto the racetrack. The side-by-side for 7th does continue on the inside. Fode outside Stanley. Then up ahead of them, it's Massey working that high lane, and he is very well closing in on Chad Frankfield. Let's take a look at lap times. Massey consistently quicker the last 5 laps by about 1/10 of a second per lap, 1/2 a tenth last lap, and now all over the rear end of the Chad Frankenfield machine as Fode slides up ahead of Ethan Stanley. Now Stanley going to be the car down on the inside. We're going to watch this battle here as Massey tries to work his way back to Frankenfield. Looks like Frankenfield going to edge out just a little bit there. David Tooker gets by Ethan Stanley as Stanley takes to the inside, nearly hits the inside wall as he comes pit side in the number 92 machine. Ethan Stanley, the first of our championship contenders to pit for what could be the final pit stop of the night for him should we stay green, but we'll watch and see if any of these other drivers opt to follow and come down pit road. So far, everyone who has pit has had clean entries, which is definitely a very solid thing. As consistently lately, we have seen quite a few speeding on pit road penalties out of the drivers in the field. So glad to see so far that everyone's made it down rather easily. Someone complaining about their right hand in the field. I think that was Fuller.
And we're halfway through pit stops here. You know, we're seeing some guys maybe going to choose to stay out and run long because, you know, they're just chasing trophies. And some guys are going to pit here, see if anybody shadows Ethan Stanley. So far, not. So he's the only chance to that strategy.
Stanley's pit stop 1/2 a second slower than that of Joshua Adams a little bit earlier on, as Vincent Isabella gets by Joe Francis. That's for 20th on the racetrack. Crump ahead of Hogan. That's 3/10 difference between those two. I would expect if Crump comes down pit road, Hogan will follow on the same lap, and if Hogan comes down, I think Crump will follow the next lap by. These drivers definitely going to be at the point of shadowing each other here early on, because very close on speed out there on the racetrack. So you're going to have to make up for it on pit road, I do believe.
Yeah, and we're seeing guys with new tires come through the field now, being pretty aggressive, you know, passing them when they get to them, not wasting any time there with them. So we'll see how that goes. Fode's finally starting to show his strength here. He's moving up through this field during the cycle, still out here on his old tires. Still making passes.
Fode up to 7th here, Chris. Gerald Campbell coming up behind him. RC Enerson taking a look on the inside. Enerson and Campbell, of course, both on new tires, so they're going to come by the Tyler Fode machine. Fode pinching down a little bit on Campbell, just trying to get a good rotation through the corners. Crump and Hogan stay together. That's Seth Rawls up ahead of them here. Do these drivers opt to come down pit road before they get into... Actually, it's not really much lap traffic at all. It is just Seth Rawls ahead of them here, and then a big gap up to Hunter Smith, who's about a quarter of a track away. So I don't think that'll come into play too much here. Brent, put yourself in the shoes of Garrison Hogan here. When do you opt to come down pit road as Tate Lytle decides that it's his time to come down pit road?
I'll give you the easiest answer possible. When you see Crump come in, you pit. About within a lap of that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid answer. Chris, would you agree on that?
I'm so sorry. What was said?
I told Brent Jones to put himself in Garrison Hogan's shoes and asked when he would opt to come down pit road, and he said, I'm going to give the easiest answer and go with whenever Crump comes down pit road or the next lap.
Oh yeah, when Crump comes, he's gonna come.
These two, yep, that's usually how that works.
Yeah.
These two, these two are definitely going to shadow each other, I do believe, for their pit stops, and it's gonna be interesting to see what these guys can do. Tyler Fode up to 6th on the racetrack now after Tate Lytle came down pit road, a 14.43 second pit stop for Tate Lytle.
Look, I'm busy up here tonight. I'm working the race. I got people asking me questions about certain things and what they think my opinion is. I'm a busy man up here tonight, okay?
Chris is always a busy man. He's
tonight more than usual.
He's all about putting on a show as Tyler Fode comes to pit road. The number 40 machine hits the line and he makes it down pit road cleanly. We'll see how far away Scott Crump and Garrison Hogan are from their final pit stop, or what should be the final pit stop, barring any late race caution, which I don't think you can really count out at a track like this. 47 laps remaining in the 2023 B season, and it's Scott Crump leading the way. And while we are currently settled down here just a little bit, I do want to remind folks that we do have our late model races coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's the Winter Derby, and what was the name of that other race that we're running, guys? What did Chad call it?
We got 2 races. That's
it's
what
certainly not the
Winter
Winter Flake. That's not what it's called.
I believe it's like the Snowflake, but I don't think it's the Snowflake for legal reasons.
It's definitely
Winter
not.
Flake sounds like a generic cereal name.
The Snow Bash 100. So those races are coming up. The Snow Bash 100 will be December 18th, and the Elite Winter Derby will be December 20th. And these races are open for anyone that does want to enter. As RC Anderson nearly gets together with Scott Crump, that got a little close. Braxton DeWeese, John Cutlip coming pit side. But if you do want to join those races, just check out Elite Racing League on Twitter or X or whatever it's called. Jeff Green to pit road, and let Jeff Frankfield know that you're interested in joining in. It'll be the late model stock, as the Americans like to call it, and the super late model as well. So should be
like to call it. What do you guys call it up there?
Just a late model. We don't call it late model stock because that sounds stupid.
Well, we have regular late models and we have late model stocks.
Yeah, so do we. No. What do you mean?
And you have super late models.
This is dumb.
There's a bunch of different late models. Look, man,
This
we
is
like
dumb.
our motorsports, okay?
There's just all late. There's just all late models. Late model and super late model. Justin Fuller to pit road from 3rd. He's going to come down.
Model.
No, that is not a super late model. That is a unit 55.
I was going to say Winter Flake sounds like a generic cereal name.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very good. It sounds like a flaxseed and I don't know, like, what are those square cereal called? Shreddy or something? You have that in the States?
Yes.
Shreddy?
Yeah, it's like those.
You talking like mini wheats here?
Nah,
Yeah.
not mini wheats. Not mini wheats. It's like the flat squares.
I don't know. I ain't never seen no flat squares.
I know what he's talking about, I just don't know the name.
We talking Golden Grahams? Is that what you're talking about? Anyway, back to
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Cereal's great,
local
guys. Check out
breakfast
cereal.
Get some. Yeah, yeah.
As Scott Crump and Garrison Hogan continue to stay out on the racetrack here, 40 laps to go, coming to 39 this time. It's Scott Crump, Garrison Hogan, Chad Frankenfield, Nick Massey, and David Tucker the top 5. Johnny Thomas, Dustin Durr, Hunter Smith, R.C. Enerson, and Josh Adams the top 10 as they run. Crump and Hogan last down pit road on lap number 30. So they've definitely been a good while since a visit to pit road. Now over 80 laps on this set of tires. So I would definitely expect them to be coming down soon. As Lytle working his way forward. Stanley trying to get himself back on the lead lap. He's currently on the outside. Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
We have guys that are racing for a championship that are racing for the win right now. And they need to not be chasing this win because it might be too late to win this championship.
This is baseball.
You're not racing. They are caught up racing for this win, and it's gonna render both of them out of the championship race by staying out.
Well, I want to point out. Actually, go ahead, Brent Jones, and then I'll get to my point.
Use baseball analogy here. I think you just kind of yank those set of tires and put in the relief set in.
So one thing to point out: these guys have been losing a lap or even 2 on pit road here tonight, guys, and Ethan Stanley's already in the top 10 as that got really close between Hogan and Crump. That's what I call a pick right there. Now I think the Uno reverse card is going to get used as Campbell gets ahead of Garrison Hogan and nearly comes to a stop. But I think Ethan Stanley is currently in the best position.
Yeah, I like where Fody is too. Fody well after Stanley, but
Stanley and Fody, I think we're in better positions right now than Hogan and Crump. Despite Hogan and Crump running 1-2 in this race, they still have to come down pit road. I do believe. I don't think they can make 120 laps on fuel.
Yeah, they're not. Nobody's making it on fuel. Everybody's about 5 to 10 laps short.
Gerald Campbell comes back down pit road, by the way. They last pit on lap 30, so we are approaching 90 laps since their last pit stop. Hogan and Crump here. Stanley is currently in 11th,
He's
20 seconds back. So he is.
Boys, I got some work. I got some words here, boys.
What's your words? Cereal?
Scott Crump said he has been saving fuel and that he is going to go to the end without a pit stop.
He is going to throw a Hail Mary here.
Man. I don't know about that.
Garrison's coming in.
Garrison comes down pit road. So Crump going to be the only driver to try to do this. Stanley's already gained a second and a half in the last
lap. He's got Chad out here. He's got Nick. He's got Tucker. He's got everybody who's just out here for trophies. I just don't understand. Look,
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
But why are you throwing a Hail Mary as the lead championship guy when you don't need to?
And you have to think too, okay? We go another 10 laps, caution comes out. Those guys could, with air quotes here, stay out and not worry about coming back down pit road.
Oh, everybody's coming back. If a caution comes out 10 laps,
yes, they're going to come back down, but they could stay out if they wanted to. Meanwhile, Crump's going to be forced to come down pit road as Crump blinks.
I just don't understand why you do this.
That's getting even worse for him.
You had him covered. You had the 4 guys. It doesn't matter if you finished 20th.
Quickest car on the racetrack by far.
Exactly.
By far.
You had the other 3 covered. And he's caught up racing for this win instead of racing for this championship. And I hope, for Scott's sake, he doesn't throw it away. But yeah, I think he's going to need a caution. I think without a caution, Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody are still going to catch him. Their run times are running so much better.
You look at this, okay? In the last,
and he can't push for more.
In the last 5 laps, Chris, right? The last 5 or so laps, Ethan Stanley's gained 4 seconds on Scott Crump.
He's now down to 16 and a half.
He still has 18 He still has 30 laps to go. Without a doubt, he's going to catch him as long as he doesn't tear up his equipment. So Stanley's got to be smart about his ascent forward towards Crump as well, but Crump's just going to automatically, naturally start falling back to these guys. Yeah, you're saving fuel, but you're also on 100-lap-old tires. The rubber's going to come into play at some point here. So definitely a questionable decision there by the 90 camp, and we'll see if it pays off for them. Crump, of course, a winner in this series, winner in just about every series, actually probably every series we have, maybe with the exception of the road course stuff, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like it. I don't like it.
But if they catch a caution, that's great. If they catch a caution, it's right back in his court, I think. You know?
Oh, for sure. If they catch a caution and everyone has to come down pit road, Crump's in a great spot. He started third, so he's got a pit stall at the front. He's going to be the first one down pit road. He's not necessarily going to have to take a ton of fuel. I still think you might take a bit of extra, but I don't know. And now he's kind of stuck in traffic here because everyone's quicker than him on the racetrack. Garrison Hogan just behind Jeff Green right there.
There's no reason for this. There was no reason to put yourself in this spot. You had the other three championship guys covered. You just do what they do, and if you race for 10th, you race for 10th. You race for 5th, you race for 5th. You know, it doesn't matter. That you're not fighting the battle.
This win doesn't mean anything. I mean,
exactly.
You look at the truck race last night, Chris, and well, you were right in the middle of it, and the battle for the championship was 3rd and 4th place on the racetrack. I don't think either one of you necessarily cared about the race win. You guys only cared about beating each other on the racetrack, and that's all it's supposed to be.
Exactly. You're one of 4 guys that are still able to win the war.
That's it. And now all 4 are back on the lead lap.
This battle doesn't even matter to you. You win the war.
That's it.
He is just, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And we've seen Scott Crump do this time and time again all season, where he makes pit calls that cost him races. He's probably thrown out 5 or 6 races. 5 or 6 races he should have won this season, and he didn't because of a pit call, a decision that he made. And if he loses the championship tonight because of this decision, nobody's going to be more frustrated with Scott Crump than Scott Crump will be.
Absolutely. And I mean, as of right now, if it stays green to the end, it actually still may work out for him. Stanley's kind of stabilized in that 9th position, and Crump's doing okay, but
last few laps.
It's Fody though. Fody's the guy.
Fody's moving. Hogan's back on the lead lap as well, so those guys are going to work their way forward. I don't know that Hogan's going to have the time to work his way that far up, but Fody back in the top 10 now, gets by Josh Adams. Now he's going to have to get his way by Ethan Stanley. Once he does, he's going to have some issues getting through some of these guys ahead of him.
Let's see here. Passing Josh Adams, he still gained over half a second on Crump.
Yeah. It's just going to be how quick can he work his way forward. And I think once one of those guys catches Frankenfield, or catches Crump, if it's Frankenfield or Tooker or even Johnny Thomas, one of those guys up front, it's just going to be a domino effect. He's going to work his way back and back and back into the clutches of Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody, who are now less than 14 seconds back as David Tooker comes to pit road. He pits from the top 5 as well. This is his 2nd pit stop of the day, so Tooker not able to make it to the end.
Yeah, Tooker threw in the towel.
This, I don't know. This could be the biggest Hail Mary that pays off for Scott Crump, but I'm still not confident that we don't see another yellow flag either.
And change at that 9th position. Or 8th position.
8th position. Fody does get by. Still 13 seconds to gain to work his way forward to Scott Crump. Mark it 13 seconds at 16 laps to go. We'll check back in momentarily and see where he ends up at that point. No real battles on the field. Actually, closest battle, Trey Holmes and Dustin Dewar. Trey Holmes gets on by rather easily to work his way to 16th. Fode's already cut half a second in that lap there. It's going to be tight. I don't know that he has the time to get there.
I will say this, yeah, I might start backing up off my stuff too. Tate Lytle's, I think, going to get up here and win the race. But, man, these lap time, RC is not coming anymore.
Nobody's actually closing. Nobody's closing as quick as I anticipated on Scott Crump.
It's Fody and it's Garrison. Those are the two that are closing.
They're closing, but they're not closing quick enough.
If I'm Crump, there's no way. Like,
I think it's too risky at this point to do something like this. He's made his bed at this point. He can't come down unless we get a caution, and he's got to drag the whole field with him. But definitely a questionable decision by Scott Crump. But keep in mind, this is not the first time we've seen Scott Crump do something like this. We've seen him win races. I believe North Wilkesboro, he won on a no pit strategy. And we've seen him do it at various short tracks in the past where, you know, he just goes out there and does something completely different than everybody else, and it ends up paying off for him. And right now, 12 laps to go. Fode's not gaining a second a lap here.
No, he only.
So if this stays green, Scott Crump has this thing sewn up unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, can Scott Crump make it on fuel?
And
the
of
numbers
course,
I'm looking at here, man, he's had to have saved at least about 8 laps of fuel or so.
which is definitely going to be tough because he was in some crazy battles as well. But there is a difference of money between second, third, and fourth in points as well. So this battle between Fody, Hogan, and Stanley, if they don't catch Crump, is definitely not for nothing at this point. There's some prize money on the line, and you want to get as much as you possibly can out there on the racetrack. Of course, Fody, I believe, is going for the Cup title on Wednesday as well. So an opportunity for him to go for that. I believe Stanley's in that fight also. And is Scott Crump in there too?
Not sure.
I believe he is, because he won last time out, if I remember correctly. 9 laps in the season remaining. It's Scott Crump out front, Chad Frankenfield second, Tate Lytle in third as they run. Garrison Hogan currently second in points, running 8th. Tyler Fody third in 9th. And Ethan Stanley running out the championship 4, back in position number 10, as Crump just hoping that this stays green. He does not want to see a yellow at this point. Otherwise, his strategy will all be for naught, as that'll regroup our championship 4 and give them all an opportunity to race for it once again. 8 laps remain, coming to 7 this time for Scott Crump.
I think we're all about to learn how to cook crow here.
Crump looking for his first championship in the Grand National Series. Of course, past champions in the series are Tyler Fody with 2 of them, R.C. Enerson, Josh Adams, Tate Lytle, Josh Robin, and Ethan Burrell, all with a singular championship. Tyler Fody and David Tooker with 2 apiece. So these drivers looking for an opportunity, maybe. Nick Massey comes to pit road. Garrison Hogan cutting into the time a little bit, 8 seconds now. He's tearing up the lap times right now, Garrison Hogan, but I don't know that he's going to have enough time to get to Scott Crump. Is Crump going to come and take just 5 laps to go on the season? Just 20 more turns for Scott Crump as he continues his charge forward, leading the way on a miracle strategy here tonight, guys.
I think we need an onboard shot with Scott here. Let's see, is he saving any fuel?
Doesn't really look like it too much, guys. He's somebody else just announced they're pitting. I believe that was Seth Rawls saying that he's coming down pit road.
Johnny
4
Thomas.
laps to go. Johnny Thomas coming to pits from 5th.
Oh, Seth Rolls, I think, may have clipped the barrels. It's going to stay green, of course, but...
Staying green, 4 to go. Now 3 to go for Scott Crump. Scott Crump Just behind him is David Tooker, who's going to get himself back on the lead lap here tonight. We'll have to watch and see if we get a late race caution, which would not be too out of the question here. Popsicle sticks are displayed. Just 2 laps to go for Scott Crump on his miracle strategy, something we never ever expected to work. His last pit stop
Is
came.
he going to win the race, though? Tate Lytle really closing in quick.
I don't think he cares if he wins the race. 120 laps on this set of tires and on this tank of fuel. White flag is displayed. Next flag will end the race, will end the season. Crump leads. Just ahead of him is the lap car of Jeff Green. Actually, I believe that to be Dustin Dewar, as Dewar gonna just stay ahead of him here, and Scott Crump gonna pull the double here tonight off of turn number 4. The miracle strategy does pay off, and it's Scott
Richmond,
Crump,
Virginia.
guys.
He's out of
winning.
gas. Out of gas.
Wow.
At Richmond, Virginia.
Winning the race and the title at his home racetrack here, boys. Scott Crump, your 2023 B champion, fought adversity after a suspension earlier in the season. Now a champion in the Grand National Series. He's got a little bit of fuel, just enough to do a little burnout, as he's going to do it here. Here comes Tyler Fode, his boss man, coming around. Fode finishing 3rd in the title hunt here tonight after an amazing season with 5 victories of his own. Scott Crump, just his 2nd win of the season. I think he's out of gas here, boys, unless he's waiting for the boss man to come do a nose-to-nose burnout. But
Nah,
I think he's out.
Nope.
Fode gonna burn out for him here. Look at the teamwork, boys. Look at that teamwork.
Oh, wow.
Well, I
That's
didn't like
fantastic.
the call. I don't think any of us liked the call when he had the best of the 4 cars and he chose to
I was
do that,
more
but-
surprised.
We're gonna
honestly.
shove our shoes in our mouth right now because that paid off.
Yeah,
It
kudos to him.
absolutely worked for Scott Crump. We're going to step away real quickly here. When we come back, we'll talk to your top 3, and that does include our champion, Scott Crump.
Isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here. It's the IndyCar1909.com 150. There you see it. Scott Crump, your 2023 B Track champion or series champion here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. Tate Lytle is currently standing by in the waiting room. We're going to pull him in for the second place interview. He's going to be standing by with Brenton Jones.
bunch of strategy calls out there tonight. I know you were out there for the trophy. Was there any like difference in like the calls made in the second half of that race?
I don't know. I kind of pitted the middle ground, which ended up being the right time for me to pit. I didn't think that I was 6 laps short, so I assumed Crump was probably about the same. I just didn't think that was doable.
Yeah, I just
And
sorry, finish.
Oh, you're good. I don't know. I still thought that I'd be able to catch him, and I mean, granted, he only had like a lap left to fuel, but I was 4 laps from catching him anyway. So I was trying to save enough just to have a little bit, just if I did get to him, and I was catching him by 3 or 4 tenths a lap, but I needed to be catching him by half a second. It just wasn't quite enough. But I mean, obviously, I've had my differences with him, but if he's able to save that much fuel here, I mean, more power to him, and obviously deserved the trophy tonight.
Yeah, we're all just up in shock up here as what you are still, honestly. Like, wow. Yeah, just what an effort out there for you tonight. What do you have any goals or aspirations for next season built up so far? Or you just focus on trying to get through this one?
I don't know. I feel like the goal is always the same. Go out, do the best you can, and hope that it leads to a couple wins. And I think we're close. I think this is my like 5th or 6th straight top 2 finish. Or no, I guess I got 8th at Homestead, but I was gonna win Homestead in the Cup race. So I mean, it's been a good last month or month and a half for us, and hopefully we can kind of lead that into next season and try and go for 2 in this series and 4 in the Cup series. And I don't know, it's kind of a crapshoot when you get down to the last couple of races anyway. I mean, there's 10 guys in here that can win races, and I feel like I'm able to have the speed most nights, but sometimes, I mean, when you get a caution with 8 to go in a lot of these races, it's hard. And I mean, when you got guys that are willing to put 2 tires on it, and it makes it tough. But tonight obviously didn't come down to that, thankfully. And I mean, Crump, he deserved it, so good on him.
Yeah, 10-4 for that. You've been pouring on the charm there the last month on the track. Anyone want to shout sponsors, friends, people, family?
I mean, shout out to you guys for watching us race fake race cars for, I mean, I guess it was only like an hour and a half, but still. Less than that, actually. An hour 15. That was a pretty short race.
Yeah.
Shout out to my dad. I know he's watching. I don't know if he's still watching, but shout out to him and the fam. Happy birthday tomorrow. I won't tell you how old he is, but not as old as you think. He's still pretty young, but happy birthday to him tomorrow. Shout out Brett Wentz. Days gone by. Hopefully we keep him on the car next season. I mean, I think if we were able to race all the races, we would have got second in the championship. So, I mean, I think hopefully he'll put his name back on the car. And hey, can't complain with second. Well, I guess you can complain with second, but you know, you're doing pretty good when you can. So, good run all in all. Congrats to Crump on winning the race of the championship. Congrats to Garrison. He had the fastest car, I think, tonight. He just kind of got beat on the strategy, or at least out of the championship 4, had the fastest car. And yeah, it is what it is. Can only do what you can do.
Yep, 10-4 to that. Good season, Tate. We hope to see you out here competing for a championship next year. And you sir have a good night.
Hey, you guys too.
That was Tate Lytle, the 2nd place finisher here tonight. Now standing by with Chris Wright is your 3rd place finisher, Justin Fuller.
Justin Fuller. I know last night, it wasn't what you wanted, but tonight you were running up front there. You kind of showed everybody a line there in the middle of the race, and I want to talk about that. What made you think that would work, and then ultimately it did work when you started running up there that high in 1 and 2?
It didn't really work, but the clean air just meant so much tonight. And once I got behind Crump, I really thought I was going to be able to get him. I was getting everybody else, and then I just got too tight behind him, and I was like, I had to figure something out and try something different. So it didn't really work out too much, so I had to reel him back in. And once I got within a couple tenths of him, it just plowed. So it didn't really work, but it was worth a try anyway.
Enough people thought it worked that you had half the field move up after you started doing it. So I think it worked a little bit. I've heard some drivers say they got a little too loose when they ran up there, but it was good for a few laps. But what more did you need tonight to win the race? Obviously, we ended on a long green flag run. We didn't get that typical late race elite caution, and I heard it was a pretty pretty hard struggle out there to pass for about 30 laps.
I don't think it was too hard to pass in the beginning of the run, personally. I think it got worse. It got harder to pass as the tires wore out. Because everybody was just so close on times. Probably just needed to understand the fuel situation a little bit more and maybe just be more patient. Just save. I didn't think we were going to go that long of a run, so I did a halfway job on saving my tires, and could have done a better job there. But I wasn't really racing for anything tonight, other than I could have possibly beat Chad for another position in the standings, but that's about it. So we just wanted to stay clean and come out of here with a good finish.
Yeah, well, congrats on the run. Congrats on the season. You had a great truck season. Ultimately, like I said last night, wasn't the finish you wanted to that season. And then you've been one of the fast guys here ever since you showed up. So where can we expect to see you next season running full-time for a championship?
Yeah, it would have been nice if I could have at least raced last night like I did tonight, so at least I had a chance, but that's all right. It's racing. As of right now, I'm planning on running trucks, Xfinity, and Cup full-time next season. So we'll see what happens there. Been having a lot of fun. Hoping to continue that into next year and see what we can do.
And one last final question. We got the new build coming out tomorrow. Are you looking forward to some of the changes? This whole oval refresh is going to be kind of a relearning experience for everybody, and we get to do it just right away tomorrow or Wednesday in the Cup race.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I've been in this thing a long time, as you probably know, and I'm really hoping that this new dynamic tracks that we got's coming is going to be good, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up because I just don't want to get let down. So hopefully it's good. I'm looking forward to it if it is, and because I really love being able to have the option to move around and when the air gets dirty. I loved it when dynamic tracks first came out. Being able to search, it's a unique skill, and it means a lot in trying to pass, especially when it's tough to pass. So we'll see what happens.
And real quick, before we let you jump out of here, Justin, are there any sponsors you want to thank, shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, thanks to Rebilas Photo for sponsoring the series. Thanks to Trey Edson for always keeping me looking good out here on the racetrack. Thanks to you guys for on the broadcast. I'll go back and watch this tomorrow. Thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks to all the admins here at the Elite Racing League, and just looking forward to getting back into the Pixel car late January and do it all over again.
All right, Justin, congrats on the run tonight. Congrats on the season. We look forward to seeing you next season. Go enjoy your holiday, and we will see you come January.
Thanks, you too.
That was Justin Fuller, our third place finisher here tonight. And now standing by with Chris Wright is our 2023 B champion, Scott Crump.
And we are now joined by champion and race winner Scott Crump. Scott, it was quite the road to get here, one that'll never be done again. If I were to go ahead and say that, I think I'm stepping out on a pretty solid limb there after everything that happened through this playoff run. Take us through the night. If you go back and watch this race, I was pretty hard on you. I didn't think you needed to make that strategy call. I felt like you were the best of the Champ 4, and you didn't have to do it. And I didn't think it would work. But it ultimately did. You knew what you were doing. I looked stupid. So two birds with one stone there. Congrats on the title. Talk to us about that decision to ultimately be one of the 2 or 3 guys that made that call.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I was just kept on running. I looked at the fuel, about 50 to go. I was like a lap and a half, 2 laps short. And about, I don't know, 45, 40 to go, I started saving. That's when I let Hogan by me. And kept on looking at him like, Dan, I can make this. And I didn't think it'd be no way they can get back around to get to me if I just ran certain times, and that's what I did. So yeah, didn't want to pit. Kind of just made my bed after a while after staying out that long. I'm like, if I pit now, probably a caution gonna come right on out as soon as I come out the pits, and then I'm gonna lose all the track position because I stayed out so long. And kind of worked out. I'm like, if we get a late caution, I'm still going to be out front, and I can come down, get some fresh tires, and be the first one on freshest.
Yeah, and I'm going to hand you off here to Brent Jones and see what he's got for you. But just one more time, congrats on the championship, congrats on the season, and look forward to racing with you here in a couple days.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, Crump. Congrats on the title, first of all. I think I said in the YouTube chat under the break before we started the interviews. We all need to start figuring out what crow recipes are out there after this race. Because holy moly, you proved us all wrong there. That call there. I know you had good pace all night, but
Yeah, I heard everybody was yelling at me, like, "What are you doing staying out?" I looked
Oh,
at
yeah.
40, 35, 40 to go. I'm like, I'm making this. I can make it all the way. I don't even have to give up that much.
Yeah, you seem like you've had one up and up, always had those up and down type seasons, but it just seemed like this was the one that came together. But did you do anything differently, or just went by the same repertoire as you always did this season?
I think this might be my actually worst season in the Xfinity until these last few races. I think it was only like maybe one race I was in contention to win. That was Homestead, where Fody just beat me right there at the end. And yeah, I mean, Xfinity I haven't been too strong. Cup I've been real strong, but I just missed out making that chase. And hopefully we can get that championship and Cup next, and be on the list of drivers to have all three.
Nice. Any anything you were looking forward to doing Wednesday, or you just go out there just to trophy hunt?
Go out there, trophy hunt, run some laps, try not to get in anybody's way, and hopefully can get one of my teammates the championship. Maybe Foden can finally get his cup. Maybe it's his time this year, so definitely deserves it. He's been strong all year. And Stanley's been strong too, so hopefully one of those two will get it.
10-4. I understand we got some very important partners on that car. You probably want to shout out real quick here.
Yeah, give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, Raps, X Raps. Give a shout out to Dad for running the league. Y'all up in the booth doing a heck of a job. My grandfather, brother, wife watching. We just went and did a IVF transfer, so hopefully next year we'll be expecting a girl. So
Yeah, congrats on that. And then once again, congrats on your title tonight. Just a superb drive out there.
thank you very much.
Well, that was Scott Crump, your 2023 B champion here in the Elite Racing League Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. Just to put into perspective the season that Scott Crump had, he had no wins up until last round, which was his return from a suspension stemming from an incident in the sports car series that we had a couple of weeks ago. And for Crump to win 2 in a row to get this title is absolutely phenomenal. And you know, we've now got to eat our words, because we shot him down for that strategy call tonight, and it paid off. He won the title by 4 seconds over Garrison Hogan, and it was a great drive by Scott Crump here tonight. And, you know, before we send it off for the final time this evening and in 2023, any final comments from you guys here? We'll start with Brent Jones.
It's been a dandy being up in this booth this season. You know, I've learned a lot about the perspectives of just general league racing and just in general everything done from an outside perspective. And you know, I'm still looking forward to being up here once in a while. But man, I'm looking forward to being back out there on Mondays next season on the track with Corey Abbott and his team next season. Just, you know, it just feels like a kind of a bittersweet night up here.
Well, we're glad that you were with us here, Brent Jones, and I'm going to hand it over to Chris Wright. And Chris, any final comments from you after what was a great 2023 B season and 2023 as a whole here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series?
Well, what a season it was. We saw a lot of different things, a lot of craziness tonight just in this championship race. Didn't get that late caution. It was nice to see it end on a green flag run. And I do want to say, as hard as I was on Scott there when he decided to make that pit call, I did pick him to win at the start of the night. I said he's really good at short tracks, and he was my pick. I didn't like the pit call, but I want to everyone remember when I picked him to win. Don't remember when I was pretty hard on him about that pit call. That's all I'm going to leave here tonight, and we can't wait to see you guys next season. I will be back for some of those special event races here in December. I don't think Robert's going to be with me, but I will be back.
I'm going to be on the
races,
racetrack for those events.
So Robert will be with me real quick after the race starts when he's caught up in something. Everybody enjoy their holiday season who's not going to tune in for those races, and can't wait for January to get here.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal year here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. As always, it's a privilege to get to call these races alongside Chris Wright and Brent Jones, and we wish Brent the best of luck next season on the racetrack, and we hope to see him in victory lane at least a time or two next season. Maybe it'll be Brent Jones we're talking to at the end of the season as the champion. You never know. Anything can happen,
Make
Brent.
it happen, Brent. Make
it happen, absolutely. And Scott Crump becoming the 8th driver to win a championship here in the series, the 4th driver to become a champion in multiple series in Elite. So congratulations to him on that. A Lake Norman Motorsports sweep of the 2023 series for the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. And got to thank Chad Frankenfield for everything he does behind the scenes. We give him a lot of heck out there on the racetrack, and usually he deserves it, and we're going to continue to give him heck, but he does a great job behind the scenes, and everything he does for this league is really greatly appreciated. Dave Huckleberry as well. He puts in countless hours before, after races, during the week, during holidays, everything to make sure that we have everything we need to have the absolute best races that we possibly can. And we're very grateful for him. All the admins behind the scenes that you don't see or hear from too much, and every one of you that's tuned in all season long, the Deweese clan and everyone else that joins us week in, week out. We couldn't do this without you. You definitely are the reason that we're able to do this each and every week. And of course, once again, thanks to Brent and Chris for being here. Thanks to Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, Worldwide Technology, Raceway, Mark Rebilas and Rebilas Photography, the folks at IndyCar1909.com for being here tonight, and every sponsor that we've had all season long. It's been an absolute honor calling this series, and we look forward to rejoining you in about a month and a half or so when we kick off at Daytona with the 2024 A season. But until then, join us Wednesday night at Charlotte for the Cup Series finale, and I will see you in 2024. Brent Jones, for the final time, sir, why don't you send us off?
Cheers!